What's up, everyone? It is our week 4, but also semi-finals recap of the AFL. It's our week 4 show. I'm here with Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Good, mate. Good. How's it going, Big J? Looking forward to talking some AFLW. Any AFL people want to talk about it. Some big games that was on the weekend. So, yeah, it's really exciting. Everything's hyping up big time.
Mate, talk about a big. I heard there was a big sound on the weekend. And, those Orange team fans, they'd be pretty happy.
Oh, mate, I'm a lover. I'm a lover of the Orange. You know me. I've almost got an Orange heart. I'm hoping they can go all the way. They're my second favorite team officially. If they can get the dub this week against Collingwood, oh my God, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy for what a team similar to Carlton that was, I think, 14th. I think Carlton was 15th on the ladder, come round 15, and then GWS was 14th. So it's pretty exciting.
Man, they've both had sensational turnarounds. It would be pretty crazy if they both made it to the grand final. These two teams that were not like basically bottom 4, for them to come out, and this is not just early in the season. We're talking in round 15. You know what I mean? Like this turnaround was so sharp, was so explosive in such a short period of time to get them now into a prelim. They were bottom 4. Now they're in the last 4. Like that is unbelievable. So if these two made it to the grand final, I'm not going to say no.
No, exactly. And crazy thing is, mate, both of these teams are talking GWS and the Blues. I reckon someone's coach of the year in those two teams. We'll find out on Brownlow night, I think. But their coaches are making the money.
I just feel like when Voss took the coaching job at Carlton, I just thought this is the easiest gig in footy because I'm like, this team is like ready to go. They're just adding more talent year upon year. They've recruited really well. I tipped them to be a top 6 team at the start of the season. And that's what they finished off, right? So I don't think Carlton exceeded expectations from that front. I don't think anyone had any expectations for the Giants this year. I'm not sure how many people thought they were going to be top 8, let alone in a prelim. They lost Taranto, they lost Hopper just in this last preseason. And so I'm sure a lot of people were thinking these guys aren't making finals. And you look at I don't know, I think it's got to be Kingsley, to be honest. The way they're playing, it's such a complete game style. That was a 30-point lead at halftime against Port, but my God, it felt like a 70-point lead. They destroyed them.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You've got Carlton, a team that, when Voss came in, obviously they picked up Akers and a couple of other people in the trade period, but their team was very solid versus GWS, where a bunch of players left already and, not the scraps, but definitely the role players have really stepped up in that side and made, Taranto and Hopper leaving. Like, who? Cool. Who was Taranto? Who was Hopper? We don't care about these players anymore.
Yeah, like Tom Green's taken another step in his development. You obviously got Toby Green, who's stepped up, increased his leadership. He used to be the bad boy of the AFL. And now this year, he is the All-Australian captain. Like, have you seen that sort of a turnaround? You know what I mean? Like, you look at the Collingwood, the Rat Pack, you know what I mean? They always stayed the Rat Pack all the way throughout their career. But this guy, under Kingsley, changed from the bad boy of the AFL, walking through umpires, getting weeks upon weeks of suspensions, to now being the All-Australian captain. Like, there's been a massive culture shift there at the Giants. I love what they're doing. Personally, I'd have Kingsley as coach of the year from this season.
I mean, Toby Green, I think, still is the bad boy from there, but maybe just not getting as many suspensions. I think he's been better at hiding them and just kind of better at playing too. He's really stepped up, as you say, the last few weeks. And, being that threat that I think in previous years, yes, it was there, but it just wasn't as consistent as kind of what we're seeing now.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely a lot more consistent. He was massive for them on the weekend against Port. Big time goals. Very smart IQ player. He's probably the smartest player in the league. He's not the biggest, not the strongest, not the fastest. Doesn't have the highest leap. He's not the best at anything, but his
No.
IQ is up there, and he is able to play leading at the footy, but also reading the play so quickly. He's always getting out the back, despite not being super fast. It's a joy to watch. I love it.
I think
People like him and Cogs and Kelly.
I think as well, it just shows again how influential and dangerous a good small forward is. Like, there's a lot of teams that don't have them. I know Essendon's looking for one. I know North Melbourne's desperate, and definitely a few other clubs are as well. And it's just like, man, every team that had a Toby Green or even a Papley or a Charlie Cameron, it's almost a free couple of wins every year.
And you're getting that from Bedford. Like, Bedford, who moved across from Melbourne. Like, I know Melbourne.
Crazy.
Oh, man. Melbourne were crying out for a Bedford against Carlton. You know what I mean? Because their smalls early on were just not firing. What they would have given against Collingwood to have Bedford. But Bedford moved across to the Giants. And you look at how explosive is high up the ground and is able to get the ball. Like, they have such a great dynamic. They're able to play. And again, Kingsley he just comes in. He knows what he wants. We need Bedford. We're going to give him this role. We're going to have him alternate with Toby Green playing higher up the ground. We're going to try and break the game open. Orange Tsunami. Man, you ride that wave.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. You think about it, Bobby Hill was there, and a lot of clubs were after him for a long time, and obviously Collingwood got him across the line, and it cost him a little bit, right? You know, the year before Essendon were after him, and then he finally came through. Bedford kind of came out of nowhere and was just like, yep, I'm here, let's ready to go. And, you know, he was Melbourne's best 23. He was their sub for most of the season, and we kind of see why. He's that and he's almost the perfect best 23 player because he's the guy that can be there for half a game or the last quarter, similar to how Ginnivan has been for Collingwood a couple of times, where that explosive player, now they've got him for the entire game. It's just bonkers. It's another threat in the forward line. Teams are going to be running two small forwards and one key forward from now on, just from how devastating they are, and, you know, carry them off to a finals, hopefully.
Oh, mate, if they can get all the way, it's obviously going to be a massive task. So they did a great job going across to Adelaide, knocking off Port in front of their 45,000 people, which is amazing. Very tough mental fortitude to get that job done. It's a different matter coming to the MCG in front of 95,000.
Oh, I don't think
it's true, they don't care. But having 95,000 Collingwood, I can't imagine hearing 95,000 on me in my eardrums just reverberating. Like, I hope they're training with that chant over the top, because it would be such a shame for a team that plays this hard, this skillful, for them to just get the heebie-jeebies and fall over. Like, they have shown that they have the mental fortitude to go anywhere and win. So I really hope we can see their A game. Fingers crossed, big Briggsy, Kieran Briggs, because his shoulder looked cooked after that game. Fingers crossed that Briggs can get up for this game, because if he can't, they'll get Bruce in to replace him, but he ain't Briggs. Briggs is, man, he's been insanely good this year.
Yeah. I think if I was GWS, every single training session this week, I'd get out the Bluetooth speakers, put them on high, and just have that playing in the background. People will drive past and be like, what is this noise? Are we at the MCG? Because I'd have it, and my players can't even think. They can't yell at each other. Just have that going, just drown it out.
Yeah, 100%. Get used to it. Don't lose to what you know. Prepare for it. You know it's coming. And the better equipped you are, guess what? You win this game, you're through to a granny. That's 100%. It. So fingers crossed they go all the way.
Before we kind of touch on the games that were this week, talking a little bit about some more AFL news, Dodo looks like he might be going Joe.
Finally! Jez! He's finally going!
It's not this trade period. He is going to still be at the club. But after this trade period, maybe he does something else, but it definitely looks like he's on the way up.
Dodoro is finally going the way of the dodo. He's finally going. Oh my, I can't believe it. And I'm not sure how amazing his replacement is going to be. The one who we've brought in, Rosa, who used to play for the Eagles and for the Suns. But I'm not sure. He was the GM of football for the last 3 years at Peel Thunder, which is the affiliate club for the Fremantle Dockers. So he's been there for 3 years as the general manager of football operations. So clearly it's a good role, clearly a lot of responsibility associated with that role. We've obviously got Craig Vozzo, who was a new CEO appointment for us. He came across from the Eagles. So we seem to be stacking up on Western Australian personnel now and North Melbourne personnel. And you look at the ladder this year, they were the bottom 2 teams. So I'm not entirely sure if you want to structure your team around the bottom 2 teams' ex-personnel. But look, anyone is better than Dodoro at this point. So
I think some
Adrian.
I think just having some fresh kind of personalities and other people in the footy group really does make a huge difference. And we'll find that out with Essendon next year. It won't be this trade period, but next time the big free agent comes along, you're going to do a Carlton. I can see it coming. You're just going to throw some cash at them and really make the changes in the team that need to happen. We've spoken about it before about Carlton not overpaying for players and it hurting their team. I think, not Carlton, sorry, Essendon. And I really think you're going to do a Carlton and just come out and be like, yep, cool, we need this small forward. They're available. Here's a bunch of money. We'll figure it out on our.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that happens. So, yeah, it's because we've had everything's changed. Because everything's changed. As you say, you need to have fresh eyes, fresh perspective. Everything at the club has changed. He's been there for over almost 30 years. Like, you can't have the same guy in the same position. And is it a coincidence that in almost all that time that he's been there, we've been shit? Like, I don't know. It's bizarre. Finally, it was long overdue. Fingers crossed that something comes of it. As you say, it's not for this year. It's for next year. Rosa has to relocate from WA. So, and he's got a young family, 3 kids. So he's obviously going to have a later starting date. Dodoro has been looking at it all throughout this year. So he's the one who's going to be in charge of this trade period, this off-season, and then moving forward, hopefully we see a change of the guard that hopefully leads to a change to on-field performances because it hasn't been anything to sing home about in recent times.
No, that's true. I guess kind of as well, there's a few other things happening. You've got your Brodie Grundys and your Ben Mackay's and stuff, but that's more a talk of next week. And then the week after the grand final as well. So 2 more weeks we'll be here and we'll be talking all the trade news. You know, I think North Melbourne's delisting's coming up in a few weeks as well. So it's off the builder. There you go.
Yes. He's finally gone, Globes. He's finally gone. Oh, I can't believe it.
It's going to be great. I guess do you want to start off with how the games went this week or do you want to do our team reviews first?
We can certainly go through the games. Let's do a recap. Let me just share the screen. 2 seconds as I open this up. Alrighty. So we start first things off with Richmond versus Adelaide. As the score suggests, it was fairly one-sided in what was a great outing again by the Crows, who continue to prove themselves as one of the teams to beat. Only one player scored over 100 in this game. That was one Ebony Marinoff, who is an absolute superstar. I feel like this is the wrong week, though.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe DFS hasn't updated yet. I feel
DFS hasn't actually updated as I'm noticing now. I'm like, wait a second, that's not right. It's still showing round 2. Oi, Morts.
Let's pull up. We can go and do the AFL fantasy. We can do it off the AFL website.
That's what we're going to do. We can just go to AFLW or we can just go to this one. Very interesting. Morts, I don't know what happened there, but we're going to have to look into it. Guys. We'll make it work. Apologies.
We do the hard work so you don't have to. See, look.
Indeed.
This. Done.
Indeed. There we go. That's more like it. All right. We start off with North playing against the Cats. It was a bad start for North Melbourne at the start of this game.
We were down, I think it was 20-3. And then we came out. And we came out in that third quarter. We were like, hey, mate, don't forget about the premiers this year. This game knocked off our average by about 200 points, which is not great, but we're still top of the league. It was a really tough one. There's some good footage coming out at the moment of North Melbourne's coach David Crocker, just kind of revving up the team and things like that. But as opposed to the men's game, the women's game only being down by something like 3 goals isn't going to kill you because you can get back pretty quick. If you've got a good team, you can kind of say, cool, we came out here, we got beat in the first half, let's go back, let's regroup and then go again. Jazzy Garner doing Jazzy Garner things. She was my captain this week. I'll show you in the team, but yeah, she was my captain, came out, big 154, carries the game. Like, this is the 3rd week in a row where she's done like 120 plus. I think she's number 1 in the league. She's just so good. She can play midfield, rotate forward, and plays a lot of time on ground as well. So, yes, she was only 85. I think she got stuck on the bench for a little bit. But, it doesn't matter. 32 disposals, Joe. Bonkers.
Nah. More important, 12 tackles, mate. That's what we're talking. We're talking midfield 12 by machine. 4.
She's like Tom Green incarnate, comes out here, just tackles everyone. She doesn't have the ball. She's making sure you don't have the ball.
Great. Perfect. It was an ultimate game by Jazzy Garner. That is really impressive. And you had her as your captain, lucky bastard. So congratulations to you.
I popped a cheeky, was it 308 points from one player? So it's not bad. Not too bad.
Not better than my 208 from one player. So yes, that was very impressive. Mia King, though, she had to stand up, didn't she? Well, still racked up 25 pills, 25 and 13 tackles. That was really impressive. All this on only 73% time on ground. Jeez.
Yeah, she's a very good player. The strength of North Melbourne in previous years was your Emma Carney, was your Jazz Garner, even a Riddell and a few others. Now it's these other players that are coming through. We see here Mia King. We go down the list a little bit. Amy Smith as well, and Brescianen. These players slowly coming through, not a pushing out the older people, but adding a little bit more of that support is going to be the difference, in those bigger games. We see her dominating. We go down. We see a lot of the other taller players. And then the guns from Geelong. I know you don't have Nina Morrison in your team, but for $1.1 million that I paid for her last week, mate, I'm happy with the 99. Week before I got a 98. There's no complaint on my end.
No, she's a very consistent player. She racks up a lot of the pill and she tackles as well with fairly decent time on ground. So
she's a forward option. She's fantastic.
She was the one we probably should have started ahead of Paxman. But alas, that is hindsight. It is what it is. Georgie Prespakis, she bounced back a bit from her terrible game last week. She's got 108 this time around, which is pretty surprising. Of 26 disposals, a goal, and 8 tackles. You wouldn't think that I don't know. That's sort of. I don't know. I feel like 108 is a bit underscored for this sort of output. But when you compare Supercoach to fantasy, like a 108 in this is probably like a 138, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so. What does that mean? Jazz Garner scored a 280.
Probably.
Mate, that's pretty bonkers. This week overall, I think there was a lot of premiums who were scoring a lot worse, and we'll see that with the other games. So Prespakis 108 in a losing team. I think Geelong kind of didn't do anything in the second half of the game. You look at their scoring, right? 20 at halftime, and then they finished on 22 points.
Yeah.
There's not much happening in that second half, probably leading to the poor score.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm pretty
Amy
sure there's
Smith
not
anyone. People.
Was there anyone who Burgess?
No, Amy Smith.
Oh, Amy Smith.
Yeah.
Look, I have Amy Smith in my team. I was very happy with this sort of output from her. Best scorer of the season, 18 touches with 8 tackles. So I was really happy. I was really happy with this. I was hoping that she would give some sort of similar output to this. I was hoping that, I was listening to a preseason podcast and she was a smoky for being a top 5 defender. So I picked up Amy Smith for fairly cheap. And look, I'm not complaining about it. That was a really good score against a really good team as well. So I'm pretty happy with this.
Yeah, I think I have Emma Carney and not Smith, and an Brescianen and a few others would have been better at this point. I think she's good for a 65 kind of average, but I feel bad. I've got this player on my team that's 850K who's getting beaten constantly by people cheaper. Maybe later on in the season, someone's going to come out and say, hey, get rid of you. You're not worth it. Because it's 15, 20 points I'm getting burnt with.
Yeah, and you're losing money every week as well.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but hey, it's not too bad.
Well,
Your
Cordner
team is
kind of hurt
flying, mate.
everyone. Cordner, I think, was the big. Cordner and Pound will go down the list there. I think those two at about 50-odd points each. They were the ones that people had in the wrong team. Wrong team. Let's talk about them in the next one. My brain's
Yes,
thinking
yes.
Carlton.
I know.
Sorry,
You're talking too early about him. Too early. All right. So I don't think anyone else from the Cats and Kangaroos. We move to the next game, which is the Giants hosting the Tigers. The Giants actually went down. There was a snake on the ground.
I saw that. That was
which delayed the start of the game.
Yeah. I think it was half an hour, and then there was some good memes later on about it. GWS the next day for their men's game had like a lolly snake on the floor.
That was so good. I love that.
Good.
Again, only one player in this game to top the 100, Alice Parker with 102, two goals to go with 21 touches, 2 marks, 7 tackles. That is, dare I say, a complete game. Seriously, from a forward, to have 2 goals, 21 touches, and 7 tackles, that is a 10 out of 10 performance. Not sure how much you can expect this from
it's
Alice
a shame
Parker.
because she, I'm pretty sure she did her knee. So we'll see kind of what happens. But yeah, towards the end of the game, pretty sure she ended up doing her knee. And then, there's some pretty bad footage of her kind of just sitting there on the bench. The next 4 were Richmond players, which I find to be, a little bit more surprising, but I guess they did win by quite a lot. Elise Sheeran is the one who really dominated that game for me. Kind of came out of nowhere and then just started racking up the pill a lot. I think maybe when GWS kind of threw the ball forward a little bit. But yeah, Sheeran was just everywhere. She's just used up and down the ground. And good to see a decent score coming from her because I think the last couple of games have been kind of like 50s and 60s. And a 77 is a lot better.
Absolutely. And you know what you're going to get from her, which is a really good kick to handball ratio of 17 disposals, 12 of those were kicks. And look at this, 97% time on ground. That's what you want to see. You want to have players who have high time on ground. Means they're going to play you longer. They're fitter, which means that they're going to be able to run out the season better. It is a 10-week season, so it's not super long. But hey, having you be on the field for longer just gives you more chance to get more points. A lot of people starting to get on board the Tani Evans train.
She hurt me, Joe. She hurt me. Another week of her starting really poor and building up in the second half, yes, but she's getting outscored by a lot of players. A 66 is not good enough for a player that a lot of us spent 900K on or, 850 around that kind of mark. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. It's these fullback type players too. Yeah, she runs out and takes kickouts, but obviously we won't have DFS in front of us, but I think she's only like 50% from her kickouts, which means that she's not running out of the box.
Oh, in terms of playing on, you mean?
Yeah, playing on. So, yeah, it's a really tough one.
And she's not really bumping it up with tackles either. Only the 3 tackles in the back line. But then again, they were on a losing side as well. So the ball was coming their way. They had 7 goals, 11. So that at least, so there were quite a few opportunities for her to get more points, and yet for her to only end up on a 66 is not a really positive sign. Having said that, though, I'm pretty sure it was an absolute scorching hot day on this day. I think it was over 30 degrees when they played.
34 degrees or something. So.
Yeah. So I'm willing to forgive her based on that, but turn up the heat, literally in the heat. So look, I don't know. I'm fingers crossed that she can bounce back. Zali Goldsworthy continues to dish out some fairly decent numbers in the forward line. She's one that people might be interested to look at. As soon as DFS updates, I'd love to be able to look at her heat map and get a bit more information out of her. Is there anyone else that people own? Annalise Lister?
I know a lot of people jumped on Huntington as kind of that first game rookie, and there were some signs, but people were wanting a cash cow early, and she didn't even go up in price this week. Kind of sucks. But she's playing utility for me at the moment, so it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, she's on my bench. And I traded her in.
Flirt going backwards in price is not good.
I still own Fleur Davies. I was hoping that we'd get another price rise out of her, but alas, not to be. I ended up losing money on her. And Huntington I traded in because she was cousins with Seta Goats. But perhaps it was too hot for her.
She might be gone at the end of the week.
It might have been just too hot for her on the day. But hey, first game back in a long time, and she had 80% time on ground. That is pretty reassuring that she's back, and it's not like she's coming back like not ready to go. You've got people like 50% here, 48, 56. She's had a very good time on ground. So I'm hoping that she'll be better for the run. Just get used to football. She hasn't played in a very long time coming off her ACL. So fingers crossed she can't do much worse than this. Yeah. I'm more disappointed in Fleur Davies with a 13.
For the people watching, you need to jump off Davies now because I actually watched the game and she's just not playing majority ruck anymore. There's like 2 or 3 other players that are taking the ruck from her. 48% time on ground is nothing. It's like 10 minutes out of a 20 minutes, quarter. So for someone that, yes, we got a couple of okay scores. We've made if you didn't drop her last week, you've made 120K-ish from it. Get rid of that player as quick as you can because next week she's going to be under 400K. Like, it's just going to happen unless there's a major turnaround.
Yep. So she is a gone for me. That brings us that one. We then get to Adelaide beating Essendon, giving us our first loss of the season. No disrespect. Adelaide are a gun team. Let's be honest. Yeah, exactly. So we started well, we're up, and then they sort of just came back and stormed home, which is very impressive. It was insult. They added insult to injury to me because not only were we given a loss, and Hatchard decides to pull up a 133 as soon as I trade her out. 2 goals, 27 disposals, 9 tackles. Like, get out. Or 91% time. I'm like, what the hell is this? Yeah. Like, piss off. Like, where was this? Where was anything remotely to this in the first 2 weeks? I would have held on to you. But I traded her out, and she makes me pay. Of course, I traded to Rowbottom, who scores 80s, who scores in the 80s. Like, that was... it's a shocking week for me. It is what it is. Ebony Marinoff continues to do Ebony Marinoff things. Another 120 plus score. 15 tackles. What a beast. Bonnie too good. She is, by name and by nature, she is too good. Another 109. She kicks goals every week. That's what she does. And she gets a lot of the pill and she tackles. So she's a gun. Maddie Prasparkas is also a gun. Wouldn't put her into my team though. You're really happy with Nanscorn, aren't you?
Yeah. She's proving to be fantastic cash gen. I was upset. If everyone saw me on the Discord, I was very upset I didn't have her on my field. I had another rookie on my field. We ended up doing decently well as well, so I was pretty happy with that. But yeah, for a person we got us 300K, she's already made 400K on top of it. She might even get to 700, 800, 900K in a couple of weeks. Potentially this week, depending on what she scores. So, yeah, very, very happy with that score. Pretty good cash cow there. And a really good mature age player just for Essendon as well.
Yep. 8 tackles to go with 17 disposals. All that on only 67% time on ground. So that is insane. Hey, Jen. Oh, no. She's traded Nanscorn out. Just 1 week too early, probably. Whoops.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It was funny too because last week, if you watched the scoring with Nash, first half of the game was like 50-odd points, 45, 50 points. And then she teed it off. She didn't double her score like she did this week. So really good trajectory scoring for her that she can kind of finish it off in that respect. It's not like she teed it out and someone else took over the points.
Yeah. Oh, Causa traded out and that's going to get Bowers.
Mate, that sucks because she scored 15 points less than Bowers. Like,
we've been screwed, Causa. We've been screwed. It is what it is. Mia Bush is one I'm happy about. Finally pulled out a decent score in the back line with a 51. Well done, Mia. 8 tackles. Good stuff. That's what we want to see. We want to see more tackles out of you young lady. 85% time on ground as well. Fairly quite decent. So well done. Come on, Mia. Keep pumping. Keep pumping those tackles out. We want it.
Yeah. I think one of the hardest ones, kind of the fall from grace this year, I'm really glad I didn't bring her in. I didn't start her. Was Chelsea Randall. Like, I don't know what her average ownership is now, but this person was $1 million. And every week, I don't think she scored an 80 or higher. So if you still have her, jump off that ship. There's a couple of cheaper options, but yeah, it's definitely not worth keeping her around.
At this point, she'd probably just completely tanked in price. So that's really disappointing. Very sad. And I'm pretty sure, that's it for this game. Jeez. Alrighty, we'll then get to Melbourne, more than doubling Western Bulldogs' score, 83-41. Very impressive. It was a 42-point lead in the end. No one cracked the 100 in this game. Tyler Hanks, 99, with a goal, 25 disposals, and 6 tackles. So it's almost as close to, with 3 goal assists as well, if you don't mind. So she could have had 4 goals herself. But 99 in a near perfect score, in a near perfect game, mate, it's very hard to get 100 points in this game.
Yeah, unless you're taking lots of kick-outs and things like that, or even just tackles. What we say, tackles are worth 4 points each. So
yeah, they are.
Yeah, if you can hit 10 tackles, you're doing pretty well. But anything under that, I think Tyler Hanks also plays forward. So
yeah,
99's great. Kate Hall was the one who, I know yourself kind of was hating it that, last week she scored a 120. This week an 82. It's okay. It's not too bad. I think she was getting bodied a little bit by the Bulldogs players. And as you can see there, Ellie Blackburn, the defender, scoring a 97. So, yeah, it is what it is, but she's still a top 5 forward.
Yeah, 100%. So I was hoping that Kate Hall would go to sleep and go have a snore. I was hoping Kate Hall would have a snore at some point. It was looking better than 82, but she's just too good. You can't keep this player down. 2 behinds as well, so there could have been a lot worse for me. Only the 1 tackle as well. So look, not too bad. This is probably a down game for her, and yet she still scored 82. So if you're a Kate Hall owner, thumbs up. Well done. You're living life at the moment. Paxman, she came back with an 80. 2 goals though to go for that 80.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be super confident about if anyone's got her still. I wouldn't be super confident because 18 touches with 2 goals for 80 points is not great return, I don't think. So I'm not worried about Paxman. I'm happy I don't have her anymore.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. This week she did pull out a decent score, but I mean, Melbourne were just everywhere. It's hard, kind of these inflated. You could call it an inflated score when you beat the other team by half. You beat them by double. It's hard to kind of pass up these inflated scores. So great if you've got a lot of Melbourne players, but the typical ones, the ones that have been scoring every week, scoring well, like Kate Hall, obviously scored quite well today.
Yep. Anyone else? No one else of relevance for here. We then move to the Fremantle Dockers.
Fremantle Dockers, Joe. What is this?
Oh, the Fremantle Dockers. Well, congratulations to them. They won by 13 points.
Yep.
But
yeah,
really,
it's a tough one. Yeah, it's a tough one. She was on like 90 odd points, and I think she got scaled up quite a bit. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe they forgot a couple of tackles or something. But yeah, it was just a down game. The last couple of weeks, I think ever since that kind of knee injury that stopped her from playing, maybe she's letting other people take a little bit more of the role or getting kind of, hey, you're her best player, so you're going to get the attention. You know what I mean? I think versus other opposition, it's not going to happen as much. But yeah, it's a tough one for those Curacao owners, especially people like Corey, I think, who brought her in this week. People like yourself who kept her at 1.7 million. Mate, I'm going to offload a couple of rookies next week. She's going to drop in cap, and I might get her for like $1.4 million.
I made her my captain as well.
Yeah.
She was my captain. She was on 18 disposals at halftime.
Yeah.
And I was watching this game.
42 disposals? Whoa,
43
disposals.
When I look at... No, she had 5 disposals.
Oh, yeah, sorry. My mistake.
18 kicks, 7 handballs. But she was on 18 at halftime. Yeah. And I was looking at the game. I started watching it from halftime onwards. She almost seemed disinterested
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of it, to
Yep.
be completely honest. She was so happy to just go in after other players tackled. Her teammates would go and lay tackles. She would go afterwards and give them pats on the back. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. She just didn't seem like, even when Hawthorn were pressing, Hawthorn were pressing really hard in this game. And I'm thinking, come on, Bowers, come on, Kiara, you got to step up here. Your team is almost could lose this. But she was very passive. She only had a couple of moments where she applied a lot of pressure in the second half, but it was quite disappointing to see, to be honest. Ty was everywhere. She was clunking everything. She had 12 marks in that game. There was no answer to her. She was so tall. And I'm thinking, geez, I want this girl. Honestly, I almost want this girl in my team because she just seemed like Wayne Carey or something. Like, no one could touch her. She tore the game apart, and Bowers tore my heart apart, to be honest.
Yeah, she tried to do a Nick Dacos and jump on top after the tackle was there so she could get some extra points. And, AFL Fantasy wasn't having it. They know it's not champion data. It's not none of this jump on the tackle after, I've tackled you, give me some points. No, it's not happening. Didn't happen for Bowers. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, she was a very popular captain option, and she scored last time. She scored like a 170 against Hawthorn last time, and it looked for a big one. Yeah, and it was looking good. It was looking like it was going to be on track for another massive score at halftime. She was on a really good score. Again, on track she was on like 70-odd points at halftime. To only get 30 points in the whole second half was really disappointing and really took the wind out of our sails, unfortunately. But it is what it is. A lot of people had Bowers as a captain, and I got to remind myself I'm not the only one. Just because I talked to you about it doesn't mean everyone else does it. You definitely had a rare week this week, so I gotta make myself
happy about it.
For sure.
Stannett. So if we scroll down the list, Stannett, who was our D1, she's still our D1, but she definitely fell off pretty hard this week. I'm not sure what happened as much. Maybe she got a bit more of attention. I know Hawthorn if they can't win, they'll try and nullify you a little bit. And that's what happened maybe with Bowers and her. But, yeah, definitely really hurt those people who brought her in or had her in their teams.
Hawthorn's game style was really impressive on the weekend. They tried to play with an all guns blazing, just run and play on at all cost mentality. They were so fast. It genuinely looked like the Dockers could not go with them. They would switch play. They would run it. There was a passage of play where they basically handballed their way from one end of the ground to the yard to get a goal. Like, it was really impressive. And I think Freo didn't like the way Hawthorn played. As soon as they made that adjustment to their game style, it was almost a domination by the Hawks. So I think Stannett just couldn't handle that sort of game style. She only took the one mark. As a result, their entries were very fast and they just couldn't set up properly. So it was really impressive by the Hawks there. Ebony Antonio, I was really happy I didn't start her. Geez, I was really close to a disaster. So that's not too bad. Jess Lowe also avoided starting her. Hetherington, I know Hippo, our good friend Hippo, was thinking of getting her in. Mate, she has only scored a 29, so all good.
Yeah, don't worry about it, mate.
Don't worry about it. Cool. We then move to this one, St Kilda v Port Adelaide, close game. The Port
we
Power.
We were talking about a player that I didn't have on field for Nash. We'll pull her up now. Big Tiana Smith, 93. Get in. She outscored a lot of premiums on field this week with a 93, and she was just everywhere. I don't know what it was. I think kind of North Melbourne the first week of the season put a rocket up her butt a little bit. And ever since then, she's been getting better and better, kind of getting herself around the field and doing stuff. 70% time on ground isn't great. She spent a majority, 8 or 9 minutes on the field, on the bench at one point. And still came out with a 93, made a bunch of money, is going to end up 800-900K, and it's going to be fantastic. Her and Nat might end up, being Bowers for me in a couple of weeks.
Unbelievable. She beat Rowbottom.
Yeah.
I traded out.
She beat Davey.
I traded out Hatchard to get Rowbottom, and Tiana Smith outscored Rowbottom. who is more than double her price. Like that was the week I've had. But it is what it is. She did really well, very impressive. For all you Hannah Priest owners out there, I did say, guys, pick her. She's good. She gets a lot of CBAs. She plays up the ground. She gets a lot of the ball. 86% time on ground. So yes, guys, if you haven't got Hannah Priest, please. I don't know how I'm going to do that.
She just plays the role as well. Like, I think similar with Hall, similar with Carney in a respect as well. When you're the captain of these teams, it just kind of says, hey, you're going to get the ball a little bit more and you're going to step up when it's needed. Obviously, St Kilda didn't win, which kind of hurts. But, yeah, she definitely tried to step up for them.
She did a really good job, as did our beautiful ruckman, Matilda Schultz.
Mate, if we weren't kissed with this player scoring as well as she is, our teams just wouldn't work. But at the moment, I'm pretty happy, mate.
Mate, 65% time on ground for a 75. Let's go. Let's go, Matilda. Mate, if you're going to keep... Yeah, mate, Matilda, if doing 65% time on ground every week is going to allow you to keep doing this throughout the whole year, you keep doing you, baby. You keep doing you, because this is awesome. Honestly, that is a great score. She's what, number 3 for the ruckman? For the ruck women?
She's currently ranked number 3. So it kind of shows where the ruckmen are at. I did say that the rucks in general were overpriced, but for her to come out, imagine if you didn't start her. Like, I understand, okay, not starting her. If you didn't get her in round 2, you're in trouble now because everyone else has enjoyed kind of having a primo at 300k and you've missed out. Sorry, not to put it down on you, but if you've got Fleur Davies or Hall and not her, like, come on, mate, what are you doing?
Jeez, man, don't kick a horse when it's down. What about Erin Phillips? A 71, 20 touches, only the 2 tackles though.
I'm okay. She was around the ball a little bit. I think she got a bit of attention from some players, mainly Priest and some other ones, but it is a watch. It is, hey, finish my team, maybe round 5, look at actually trading her out. I can't do it this week, but coming into round 5, I think she's maybe the one in the forward line that goes compared to some other good players who are scoring well. Like, I can go too good to her. Her to too good for like 200k.
Yeah.
And then you'd be a lot more happier than what you are at the moment.
Yeah, no one else of relevance in these games. Jen's asking, what's happening with Emma Carney? Should I trade her or hold her?
It's a tough one. Because she's playing backline so much, when we start winning, she's not getting as much of the ball. And we've seen that the last couple of weeks. If you've got someone like a Priest or someone else who you can go sideways to, it might be worth doing. Because Supercoach, we get punished for the trades. It hurts us a lot more. AFL Fantasy, you can just do whatever you want and get rid of these players in and out. She is due to lose some money. We are playing Brisbane, so it might be a bit of a tougher game. But you look at Brescian and you're looking at Amy Smith standing up. These people are playing supposedly in the back line for North Melbourne. So it's not like how it has been kind of the first week or the first season when she came in and she was dominating. She'll be around the mark, but I think there's going to be a couple of players who are ahead of her, and we've started to see that now, kind of coming into weeks 4, 5. She might be averaging a 65, and at that price, she's going to be too expensive. So offload her for a Priest, offload her for a Sheeran, who still is, you can make some money. I think just looking at it now, it's about 70 odd K if you've got her already. So, yeah, just something to think about. You can always get Carney back. Like, it doesn't punish you like it does in the men's game or how we play Supercoach. Yeah.
Correct. Cool. We then move to the next game. The Eagles getting smashed by 53 points against
it was a tough one.
Why was it tough?
Because we had all these Carlton defenders in our teams who just weren't scoring. All their forwards were scoring. West Coast players across the board were scoring well, but our Carlton defenders, Cordner got a 50. She was lucky. Pound got a 58. She was more lucky. Like, she was on a worse score from before. Fitzpatrick scored their first goal last week. Ended up getting stuck on like 50 points for half the game. It was atrocious.
Yeah.
It was the first week where Charlotte Thomas actually did something. where Swanson had a good game, Anthony had an average game. Like, I don't know where this scoring was coming from. All these randos just scoring well.
Mate, look, I'm just happy for the people who paid up for Moody that she's finally done something for you and got you you a decent score.
Yeah,
112.
I'll take Schultz every day of the week, mate.
Exactly. Yeah, Keely Skipper. I'm not gonna pick Skipper. 3 goals. Congratulations to you on a great game, but I'm not touching someone who needs 3 goals. Swanson, 97. I'm not sure how many people still own her. I don't think anyone started her apart from the people that traded out Bowers when she was a late out to Swanson, who was available at the time. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have moved her on. 97 is not super awesome. I'm happy with Ella Roberts and 80 points in the forward line. That was really good.
And Charlotte,
especially
Thomas
amongst the forwards,
hurt a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I don't care about Charlotte Thomas. She's dead to me. Mariana Anthony, 74, a more human score this time around. She had 9 tackles, so she's still killing it as a 300K rookie, man. Like she's doing so well.
Yeah, she's a bit of a miss. We were talking off the air, guys, about how devastating missing out on these rookies has been, and it's a tough one. If you don't start with like a Smith or a Nashwan or Schultz or even Anthony kind of getting her in that second week, you're missing out, and you just don't have the cash across the board to do stuff. So it's a brutal game. Like the men's game's a bit different because I think in this, players are jumping up in price a lot more. It's almost double like the amount of cash gen that are played games in a week, especially against Supercoach. But I think even AFL Fantasy, and it's a tough one.
Yep. Now we're talking about the defenders. Look, I can understand why the defenders didn't score so well when when the Eagles only scored 24 points. So for Gab Pound to score a 58 with not a single tackle, like you know what I mean? Like that, there's this seems to be like a flaw almost in that sort of situation. Cordner had 4 tackles to her name, right? So she had some tackles to go with those 10 touches, but still, Cordner, a 50 points for a defender in a smashing of the Eagles. Look, I'm not too disappointed. When you look at it in context of the game, it's not like they played bad. It was their opposition who was bad.
Yeah. It's definitely a monitor for a Cordner. People who, last week she scored like a 95, I think, and people were like, hey, this person's in here. She's going to be a premium now. I know I consider her to be a keeper. I think you do and a few others. Watch out for her scoring. Watch out for her price. There is a few players around that mark who we can trade to, like Darcy, who scored a lot better, is only, 70K more. Brescinen's about that mark as well, and there's a couple of others. So, yes, keep her in your team. But next week, if another poor score comes, you want to be above 50 points every week. It's going to be the difference between, you jumping up the ranks and not, especially when everyone's going to have a full premium team in probably two or 3 weeks.
Yep, exactly. Cool. Alrighty. We then move to the next game, which is
not happy, Joe.
No. The Pies. I'm happy the Pies lost.
Yeah.
But I can't help but feel that I lost more than the Pies did this week.
Yeah.
12 points. The Suns won by Charlie
Rowbottom.
Rowbottom.
Yeah. It's like we said at the start of the recap, right? A lot of the premiums are scoring poorly this week. Davey got scaled up. I'm happy about that. Benici did fantastic. But, Rowbottom, we've said it before. When she's being told, hey, I've got to play the main player, you've got another team that can nullify one player. They'll put a tagger. They'll put someone on her. It just doesn't work. Darcy, who we were saying just before, almost scored as much as their best premium on field. So it's going to be a tough one. Took Miller in the men's game. They're playing Charlie Rowbottom, a similar thing. When you've got a tagger on her, you just can't do as much.
Fair enough. But still, I'll trade out Hatchard to get... So I'll trade out a 133 to get an 81.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. This game's
I lost 52 points and over $100,000 on that. Very tragic. Daisy Darcy, for all the people who listened to me last week and traded her in, congratulations. 76 is very good. You're welcome, Hippo. Anytime, mate. Even single did very well, 66 points. Look, in the forward line, 20 touches. 8 tackles on 83% time on ground. Really happy with her as someone who was fairly cheap, to be honest. And with this sort of scoring in the forward line consistently, I think she's a keeper for me unless someone comes out that's way too good. Sarah Rowe is someone who has done really well also in that forward line for the Pies, has shown some consistent output. 98% time on ground shows she's got some insane fitness, 18 touches and 4 tackles. So we'll be better this week. Yeah, I hope you're talking about Charlie Rowbottom owners and not Collingwood. I hope you guys stay crap every week, Jen, especially in the men's this week. I hope you lose to Giants.
Bree Davies pretty cool.
Bree Davies.
Not to rub it in, Joe, but the toughest thing about Rowbottom scoring 81 is the fact that we have a lot of these 600K premiums. So your Nasha, Tiana Smith, who ended up scoring more than her. You had her as a premium. So you're saying, hey, look, I've got a stack to midfield. You're one rookie down. Well, no, sorry, because my rookie scored more than your premium. So
I know. You were very lucky. You're very lucky, mate.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just.
You are very lucky.
That's it.
You're very lucky, mate. It is what it is. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say. In what universe is Charlie Rowbottom scoring 81? Like unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is just Rory Laird 50 captain week 1 all over
week
again.
1 of Supercoach.
Like that was pretty bad. Is anyone else that's really crazy?
Jordan Allen's one to jump off if you haven't already. I jumped off that ship last week and it worked out okay for me. But these players who were decent last year have really just fallen off.
Yeah, that she has.
Mick Lawton.
I got Maddie.
She didn't do number 11. I'll take that 35. I think she jumped up 40 odd K. So a decent bench cover, making some extra cash for me. So not too bad there.
No, not too bad at all. That's that game. We then get to the final game of the round. The Lions are just an absolute force of nature. 55-point winners over the Swans, 32 points. However, for us fantasy owners, we're all very happy. If you don't have Laura Gardner by now, just what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one. It's similar to what we had in Supercoach this year with these forwards who are scoring more than the midfield premiums. There's a lot of these really good forwards. You're looking at Kate Hall last week, Nina Morrison basically every week, Gardner this week, even Malloy and Erin Phillips kind of round 1 that are pumping out these monster scores. Yes, she's playing midfield, but she's forward eligible. And I think that kind of scared a lot of people off. They didn't want to spend so much money on these players. And 151, mate, 41 disposals, Joe. I think she was 3rd in the amount of disposals ever in AFLW, like for a game. I didn't even think she was that good on the game. And then, 151. Holy moly. Holy moly. I was looking at Malloy's score this week thinking, cool. I'm stuck with Malloy 58. And then Gardner comes out with that monster score.
Jesus. She almost outscored her by 100 points.
Yeah. It's crazy.
9 tackles as well, 93% time on ground. What a freak. Laura Gardner, you are my MVP for the season, I've got to say. Anyone else own anyone else around here?
Malloy 61 wasn't great. I think there's probably a couple across there. Postlethwaite, 49. If you've got her in your team, you're doing okay, but probably look to offload her in the next couple of weeks. She's made 200K for you, and there's some other players coming through. So, if someone else is named, it's not too hard to put her on field.
What's happened with Chloe Malloy? Why so shit all of a sudden?
She was around the ball. She just, maybe she was being tagged or some other players. Brisbane have a decent enough midfield where they can put, their stars on the ball and then someone else on the ball. So I think that's why Gardner did well and Malloy was kind of being occupied. I don't know if it's a Manita Hand played, if you can just pull up the rest of go up the rankings a bit. I think she played as well. Maybe not. Just scroll down. So I don't think there's a role change as much for her. I think it was just a poor game, really. Yeah.
Causa. She got tagged by Chloe Malloy.
Yeah. No, Chloe Malloy got tagged. That's what happened.
I was going to say, how could Chloe Malloy tag Chloe Malloy? Her shadow could not leave her.
Yeah.
We tagged herself out of the game. All right. Well, that explains. So that means she's fine to trade in this week, perhaps. Then,
Yeah, I
if
think
that's
so.
the case.
I think there's a few teams that can do run with players similar to a Davey who got put forward a little bit more. Just happened with Malloy. She was there, but she didn't dominate as much.
Yeah. Cheers, Sneeko. All right. If she was bad because of a tag, then we can excuse it. All right.
It makes it hard for North Melbourne next week. I have to see when the game is actually on, but it might be a case of Jazzy Garner might actually get a tag this week, so we'll kind of see what happens.
Fair enough. All righty. Well, that's all the games then for this week. Really interesting. This discussion of a tag has now sort of made me want to change my strategy all of a sudden now. So just
do you want to do your team for round 3 and then I'll do mine, or what do you reckon?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. Absolutely. Right. Very happy to take suggestions from people in terms of what to do. All right, this was my team from last week. Right, round 3 points. I scored 14.45. I actually moved up. As despondent as I was 17.38. I've moved up to 16.02. So despite a fairly shit outing, I still managed to move up over 100 spots. So I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously not as great as you, but it is what it is. As you can see, Kiara Bowers was the captain and let me down severely, but it is what it is. We'll move on. Evans 66, Allen 54, Pound 58, Cordner 50, and so not sensational scoring. And then of course Amy Smith comes in with an 86, so she sort of made me feel a bit better. But yeah, the back line really did not fire this week. The midfield really didn't fire either. Like Prasparkas just cracked the 100, not by much. Rowbottom didn't even crack 90. And Bowers only scored 104, even worse than Prasparkas. So this is probably one of the worst performances that this midfield should dish out, to be honest. Smith, 93, that it is what it is. She did very well. Outscored Rowbottom. I lost 12 points there. Wow, amazing. Schultz, 75. She's killed it. Fleur Davies has lost some money. She's going to be in my trade plans this week. I was a lot happier with the forward line. My 3 primo keeper picks here in the forward line all did very well. I consider a 66 a success in the forward line. Branca Tisano, the 35, just classic Gold Coast player, letting me down against Collingwood. Apart from single, of course, she did really well. And Postlethwaite, she's bought herself another week for me with a 49, a rookie score of 49. Yeah, ideally, you want a 50 plus, but a 49 is basically a 50. So for me, close enough is good enough. Fitzpatrick with a 59, so well done to you. Very happy with that. Hopefully you can keep going up in money. And Bush with a 51, well done. Hopefully you can go up in money. So this was the week that was. It wasn't the worst. It wasn't the best. I was fairly disappointed about it, all things considered. But hey, just another week. Let's just reverse all these trades.
Is Pound a good pick, Joe? She's in your team. Are you happy with her? Or
I'm happy with Pound because she scored a 58 in a smashing of a shit West Coast team. And she had no tackles whatsoever. And tackles are 4 points each. This, if you can get something, like, tackling is the most crucial element to scoring as a fantasy player, especially in this game. She had none and still scored a 58. To me, that's a great success, to be honest. Obviously, 58 isn't the best, but when you consider the fact that the ball was hardly there in the back line, no tackles, and she still scored a 58, I'm really happy with that. So she's shown that she's got multiple avenues to scoring, not just through tackling. It's also through her ball use. So I'm pretty happy with Pound. I approve of the Pound pick, to be honest. All right, so Geordie Allen has been a bit of a disappointment. She hasn't scored much of anything at all, 64, 55. She's actually getting worse week on week, which isn't really good. I was thinking of maybe trading her out to get someone good like a Darcy, because I've recommended Darcy to anyone who cares to listen. I think she's think she's an excellent player, but I have to now pay up. I now have to pay up to get her in, so that's sort of disappointing.
I know you're pretty religious and you need the priest in your team because she's a gun. So if you can afford her.
And I was talking about priest as well to people. So I just give this advice to people and then I don't follow it myself. So that's sort of what I do. You know what I mean? I just don't listen to myself. But I got bigger problems on the field, and I think that's like a Branca Tisana. I think I don't want another rookie. I don't want a rookie on the field that could dish out 35s and 40s. I need someone who's going to consistently give me around the 50-point mark. So I think Branca Tisana has to go. We discussed about Davies. She's got to go. She's just losing money now a lot. I'm going to go to the rucks. I'm going to try and see if I can get someone who is really cheap in the ruck, who is rucking. And I'm just going to go.
You off field. It might even just be better for you to actually go and get a dead rookie, so you can have a loophole every week. Because I'm thinking that, you had Bowers. Imagine if you had someone and you could actually do a second chance play. I wonder if that's better for you. Bank the 120K from Davies and say, cool, well, I've got cash gen. I've still got Fitzpatrick and Smith and the backline player. Do you want to go and do do you want to go and have a loophole every week? It's probably worth it, to be honest. Big
the difference between a loophole and more cash gen is what, $27,000?
Yeah, it's not much, but it could have been 100 points for you. Like Marinov scored more. Imagine if Garner, you missed out on Garner or had Bowers play first. You weren't captain. You could have said, cool, I don't want 100 for my captain score this week. I'll throw the captain on Garner and do that instead. So it's an option.
It is, but I just think for $27,000, I'm not sure how worth it is, to be honest. I do want the cash gen. I do want, because I'm not. Huntington doesn't seem to be the biggest cash gen maker at this point. And Mia Bush, she's had one okay score with two fairly shit ones. So who knows what sort of Bush we're going to get next week. I do think I'm going to need the money to finish off my team in the future. So I'm just thinking maybe Hetherington, who seems to ruck, who played. She's not scoring amazingly either, has had poor time on ground. You might be right, and I probably could save 27,000, but I might. If the 27,000 can come in clutch for me, then perhaps, because right now it's 640,000. There's no one really amazing that I can afford for 640K at this point. So I'm going to have to downgrade someone else as well. And there's no one really there, to be honest. I could trade out Smith at this point. She's got more money to make, is the problem, though. Having scored a 93, she'll go up a lot more in price. But I do think it's really important that I get someone on the field in the forward line, because I can't keep fielding rookies when you've got some really good, like Malloy, for example.
Or Hoare as well. Like, she comes out and scores a big score again. It's going to hurt.
Yeah, but Malloy's playing West Coast, though. So I'm playing this for the points, to be completely honest with you. And so when I come to the midfield, players I can afford, it could be a McCarthy, who scored a 40 in her first game against a killer Brisbane side who smashed them. And for her to still score 40 was really impressive. So I'm thinking maybe she's had one price rise of only $34,000. I'm hoping that she can have a few more games down the track where she can possibly play against easier opposition, like West Coast this week, where hopefully she can also have a really good spike game and get that cash gen going. Whereas Malloy playing against West Coast, I fear that she's going to go 100 plus and then bounce back in price. So I'm looking to get Malloy now, get an extra premium on the field, leaves me with one rookie that I need to address in Postlethwaite, who hopefully I can get up to someone good in maybe McCarthy making money, or Hetherington making money, or Fitzpatrick. So, yeah, this just leaves me with one real need player to trade out, and that leaves me with $59,000 in the bank, or $9,000 in the bank, which isn't immense, but hey, we're down to one player left to field to fix. My team isn't in the best situation, isn't in the best position, but I just don't think I'm going to have shit scorers. In to say it, excuse the French. I'm just going to have decent scorers. I'm expecting some, mediocre performances, middle of the run. But as long as no one is bad, then I think that should be enough for them to make some money for me and then upgrade them later.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to work
out. So that's me for the week. Fingers crossed it all works well. Marinoff against the Giants. Is anyone easy to coming up? Rowbottom's got the Western Bulldogs. I don't know what that's going to mean for her. I might just stick fat with Bowers, to be honest, and hope for a bounce back game from her. That's what my team looks like. Yay! Hurrah!
Hey, it's still pretty good. No complaints.
I might actually go Gardner, to be honest. Just playing the Eagles, I might actually go crazy and have Gardner be my, because she hasn't scored under 100 all season. She scored a 151 against the Lions, who are really strong. I can only imagine what she's going to do against the Eagles. So, you know what? I'm going left field. Let's go Gardner. We're going to back her in. Are we chasing points? Perhaps, but
probably.
Let's go Gardner.
All right. Let's pull up my team. 1 sec.
Let me know, guys. What do you think? Is this crazy or what? All right, let me move my team.
This is my team. So last week I did all right. It wasn't too bad. Priest had brought in the week before for, I think, Allen. So yeah, 85, pretty good there. Cordner 50. I know we spoke about her. Evans 66 isn't great. Sheeran 77's done fantastic, and then Kearney as well. So she's one I'm considering kind of offloading soon. Still has a lot of money there, and he's basically like the same price as most defender premiums. So there is some value there that you can do that. McLaughlin, who I had brought in last week, as I showed on the stream, jumped up 35, so is almost 100K more expensive. Davey, very well, 88. Marinoff, 124. Sparkus had the VC on, doesn't really matter because I took Jazzy Garner's 154. Tiana Smith, 93, did well. As I said, I was a bit annoyed that I didn't put Nash Wen on field because I know she was going to score well. And then Smith came out and did something better. So, it is what it is, right? Schulz, 75. Hall, 35. So it's not great. I am looking to offload her because I think she's plateaued in cash gen. She's not even playing main ruck anymore. So, get off that ship if you have already. Kate Hoare, 82. Malloy, 58. Nina Morrison, 99. Gardner, 151. And Phillips, 71. So some decent score premiums in there. Kind of, you're hoping that's your killer forward line. Maybe Phillips is one to offload later on. We've got Postlethwaite, 49 as well. And then Huntington, who didn't do very well. I had a decent rise in the rankings this week. I'm not going to lie. I was rank 2. I was 1164. This week, I'm ranked 144. I came out with the top 10 finish this week. So I'm pretty happy with that. The team's looking decent. And yeah, it was a pretty good week for me. Captaincy score I found really, really matters. And if you don't have a good captain, as Joe would say, it kind of really hurts. So yeah, very happy with the Jazzy Garner score there. And I think I'm only about 200 points from rank 1. So hopefully we can push into the top 100 next week. And then, kind of push for that top 10 at the moment. So yeah, pretty good week for me, Joe.
Very nice. What are you going to do for your captain this week? Your VC and your C?
Well, let's pull out what I'm actually going to do. This was last week, so I don't know why that's come up. But this week, I'm actually doing something a bit cheeky. I tried to get you to do it, and you didn't do it, so that's fine. But I'm uploading. What happened there? I can't reverse that because I don't know what's happening. Let's make this happen.
There you go. Make trades.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I get rid of Hoare, and then I'm just going to get the cheapest ruck I can. I've seen some people take Pierce, so I'll just have to go and check who's playing a lot more Sunday games, and then just have her. So that's the only trade I'm going to do this week. Gives me a cheeky 130k in the bank, which effectively is, a McLaughlin downgrade for me. If I was, she makes some money next week, I get a premium in, it's okay. So right now she's on field. Just looking at the fixture at the moment, Melbourne's playing first and they're playing Hawthorn. So I'm not sure how good the girls are going to go, but I might go, let's pretend I'm going to go Kate Hoare VC, because I can VC, captaincy on Richmond Lady, and then probably go Gardner, like you're saying. Jazzy Garner, I think, is going to have a bit of trouble. We are playing in Tassie, but there is that tag availability. So maybe I'll go Kate Hoare, vice captain, and then throw in Marinoff or throw in a Malloy or Gardner captain later on. So we'll see what happens there. Just kind of having that rookie allows me to do the versatility. Because I think later on, like next week, my team will be done, looking to offload Nasher and Smith, depending on their price and how they go this week, to potentially Bowers. And then I've still got some cash gen on the bench, which is nice. And I think the second half of the season is really going to be about who you can pick as captain. So to have that loophole player there is going to be pretty effective. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Sounds good. Because you got plenty of cash gen, you don't need to have, you can afford to have one person be a loop. Whereas for me, my situation is a bit different to yours. So
yeah, it is.
I could still opt to do something similar and get a Pierce instead of a Hetherington, to get perhaps try and get more points on field through 27,000. You give up $27,000 on the bench just to give yourself two cracks, 2 bites of the cherry.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, to be honest. I paid up for Bowers, thinking that she's invincible basically, and that the tackling machine, there's no need for loopholes. But after this week, that faith has sort of been shaken. So yeah, not sure. It's a big call. Happy to take people's suggestions in the comments whether or not they think it's worth doing the loophole.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens after this week. I think it obviously comes down to which players you pick, but the men's game seems to be a little bit more consistent about who's going to score more in this, man. Like, you would have picked Malloy scoring, scoring really well, and she didn't, right? And you don't know, Kate Hoare scored big last week and then was average this week. So it's very up and down.
It is. Alrighty then, we'll get to answering your questions, guys. I know Causa has asked, he's deciding between Davey to Georgie Prasparkas or Phillips to Malloy this week.
I almost think you want to keep Davey, to be honest. I think you want to keep her. I think she's a premium the way she's scoring. She was placed forward for majority of the game due to a tag. And she still popped out scores bigger than other premiums. So it's a tough one, but I think keep her. Maybe I'll maybe upgrade somewhere else on field and then hold out on Davey for another week. If you don't have Malloy, it's probably a good week to get her in. Like I said before, I think Phillips, she's teetering on kind of a top 5, 6, 7 position in the forward line. So, if you can upgrade her to another player and get maybe an extra 20 points every week, it's probably worth it.
Mate, Malloy against West Coast this week could be a ripper. Causa. Yeah. So, look, I think I was always anti-Phillips on this channel in terms of what her age is. She's quite old, and I couldn't believe that she's going to be able to maintain that. She's bro. Erin Phillips.
Is she 38 or 36? She's pretty old.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's. I think she's 38. Like, yeah, Erin Phillips is 38 years old. I can't. Yeah. I always said from the beginning, I find it hard to imagine that she's going to be able to maintain that round 1 scoring for the rest of the season, even if she is playing around the ball. So, look, personally, I think if you trade up Phillips to Malloy, I think that's a better move than Davey to Georgie Prasparkas, who hasn't set the world alight after round 1, right? 89 and 108.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one.
Yeah,
She's
I prefer.
Geelong's number one midfielder, but just a couple of bad weeks. You can probably hold out again on it.
Yeah, I prefer Malloy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I personally prefer Malloy, to be honest. Jen, thinking Carney to Priest and Allen to Stannett.
Yep. No, 100%. You can do it. Stannett's a bit tricky because, this week she didn't score as well, but yeah, she's fantastic. When Freo have that forward game and they score, more than 30 points in a game, yeah, she's definitely worth it. And she's D1 at the moment.
I prefer this one.
You prefer Darcy instead?
I prefer Darcy over Stannett, to be honest, Jen. I think you're going to get consistent scoring out of her, as you can see. Even like in wins and in losses, she's got some fairly consistent scoring, 78, 76. It was a 12-point win here, smashing here, and yet she still has scored close to the same every single week. I do like that consistency that you're going to get out of her. It's close to 80, which was a top 5 last year. So if you can get an 80 score out of your premiums in the back line, that's really good. And she scored that 76 without a single tackle last week. And in fact, she had 3 frees against. So she actually lost 9 points. That should have been 87 last week. So I like the look of Daisy Darcy. To be honest, she's only 21. She's got a lot of upside, Jen. Yeah, I prefer Darcy over Stannett, to be honest. And she's cheaper by $8.48. Stannett is $8.60. So, yeah, you could get a 58, whatever, 76. But yeah, personally, I like Darcy. Or Allen to Shearer or Darcy. Well, there you go. I answered it without even reading that. There you go, Jen. Darcy. Sneeko. Benici to Ty Smith or Nance Scorn to a rookie?
It's interesting. I don't think you should be bringing Ty Smith in. I think the last couple of weeks has been a bit of an anomaly. Yes, she's getting better, but I think Benici's probably on the same level. So maybe there's like a money issue there and you can downgrade and then, next week upgrade her. Sure. If that's the reasoning, then do it. But yeah, it's a tough one.
She's now 682K.
Yeah, next week she'll probably be about 800, which is crazy. But if she keeps up a similar scoring, if she scores a 70, let's say 75, it's probably around that range. So there is some downgrade value there, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, I'd go Nanscorn to a rookie, to be honest. Sneeko. I think. She's had one good game. She had one great game, 85, and this week we're playing against Fremantle. I don't know. She could back it up, though. How much is Benici? 1.096.
So you're making 400K off a player for probably not similar scoring. I think Benici will score a bit more, and she did very well against the team that tried to nullify the opposition midfielders. So, yeah, it's a tough one.
It is actually a really tough game. It is. Benici's good. She's clearly really good. She outscored Rowbottom. Everyone outscored Rowbottom this week.
Yeah, it sucks, Joe.
Oh, why did I trade Rowbottom? I broke her.
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, guys. Cause I still have Lister, but I'm not sure what to do with her. But Parker may be out. She may would do well this week as 32nd overall, pushing the top 10, hopefully. Fingers crossed for you, Causa. Parker is out. Do we see a list? Do we see a role change? Hopefully we do, because Lister showed that when she's played on the ball, that she's capable of some good scoring. That was sort of a discussion I had privately with Hippo when he wasn't sure if to get her in. Look, if she gets that midfield minutes. If she gets those midfield minutes, then obviously she's worth it. But if she doesn't, then she's not. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on what the coaches say, if anything, in relation to that. So, yeah, I don't know, Lister.
If I had an extra 8K, I would be able to do something very cheeky. But I'm considering bringing in Too Good this week. So.
She's too good, though. She is too good.
Chelsea Randall, I think they must all be dead teams because Chelsea Randall still has a 32% ownership.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, people just picked her and then get called the season's finished. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yep. So I think with no, there you go, Jen. I've gone kind of Priest and Alan to Darcy.
That's fine.
On you, Jen.
It doesn't matter too much either because players just change all the time. So you can just kind of do it and then later on change things back. So yeah, why not?
I like it though. Cool. I think with that we might just call it a night. Almost an hour and a half. We spoke about the men's, spoke about the women, spoke about our teams, answered your questions. I think we'll leave this week's men's games for Thursday.
Yep, 100%. And remember, car stream on the way home. Well, what are we going to call it, Joe? We need to give it a real name. I'd love to call it the ride home.
The ride home, I know.
It literally is the ride home. Like, we're riding home to get there. But, yeah, I think dodgy radio station's kind of stolen that name off us. So we'll have to come up with a name. Let us know in the comments. Let us know in the stream if you guys have a name for us to call our Thursday. We can just call it Car Cams. We can just do that too. That works. So, yeah. We'll let us know if you've got a cool name. We'll maybe have a think about it for later on.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. Always a pleasure. Hope you had a lovely first 2 days of the week. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday nights for the live Team Sheets reaction.
Yeah, 100%. And we've still got a couple of weeks. We've got, semi-finals this week, which is going to be fantastic. 2 monster games. I think prelims even better. But I think there's probably sometimes we've had seasons where, this team's going to beat this one. Their grand final was the week before. They're just going to get crushed. At the moment, I think we've got 4 teams that can generally beat each other. So it's just going to be a ripper couple of games.
Oh, 100%. And they match up really well. I think they're all going to be really close. Home ground advantage could come to play really strongly, but it's the first time Carlton travels interstate for a finals. They're not going to have their loud supporter base cheering them on. The Giants, they broke Collingwood's heart the last time they met up in a prelim. So, mate, it's great. It will be killer. I can't wait for it. And we will talk all of that, though, on the Thursday night. So thank you all so much for coming. You are most welcome, Jen. Let's go, Pies. Hope you lose severely.
Catch in the next one. Remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work. We look at the team sheets. We do the talking, so you don't have to.
Me and him. We do the hard work.
This one.
That guy.
Yep.
Cheers. In fact, I struggle. I do the struggling so that you don't have to. Bye for now.